Welcome to Before the Bat, the Gotham podcast, your guide to the TV show Gotham and all things Batman. I am Phil. I am Phil. And with me is Kelly.
Hey, hey.
And we're a man down again.
Uh-oh.
The ogre got him.
Somebody put up the bat signal. Quick.
The ogre got him.
Uh-oh. Either that or our coroner in training.
Oh, that's right.
Poor Mr. Enigma.
Poor Mr. Enigma. How about the guy he killed?
Poor Mr. Enigma. That's what happens if you pick on a nerd too long.
Hey, Riddle Man.
Yes.
So, Kelly, you want to hit us with the synopsis?
Oh, this is a long one. This is kind of a blow by blow, so stop me anytime and we can discuss.
Okay.
All right. Let's see here. We had a new series killer known as the Ogre that was already set up to be a multi-episode arc. It was nice that Gotham was focusing on a single character for a few weeks. Let's see here. Following a rather harrowing warning from other cops who have investigated the Ogre, Jim opens this week's episode of Gotham worried about his lady love, Leslie Tompkins, fearful that the serial killer will target her next. Thankfully, Leslie's not only okay, but happy to take care of herself as she nearly takes off Jim's head when he creeps into her apartment and gets mistaken for a burglar, which was pretty awesome. Yeah. The moment of fret and caring ends up with Jim finally saying the big three to Leslie, I love you. But that often only intensifies the need for him to settle this case and put the ogre away before he even gets a chance to take a stab, literally, at the woman he loves. Jim's investigation leads him to the cop who originally took the case surrounding the ogre because he's not only the first person to look into the murders, but this detective also felt the brunt of the killer's retaliation. The ogre actually killed the cop's wife, and that sent a powerful message to anybody who dared to look at him. Jim has another theory. The cop got too close to discovering his true identity, so it led him to seek vengeance. Jim finds out that the first victim of the ogre was a young nurse who worked at a private clinic where bouts of extreme plastic surgery take place. It seems the nurse was hired after a suggestion from a client. The client's name is finally revealed after a warrant orders the clinic to give up the goods, and it turns out that the person who suggested her for the job is someone with the same last name, Van Groot. All I could think was the dancing plant. A very prominent and powerful family in Gotham City. That's all I could think of when I heard that name. When Gordon and Bullock arrive at the Van Groot estate, lots of little Groots and pots, they find the butler trying to kill himself, and Mrs. Van Groot dead in her bed. But it's clear she's been decomposing for about a decade. She must have been an old musician. Gordon and Bullock finally get their answers when they interrogate the butler. It seems his son, who was born looking like he was the first cousin to the Elephant Man, was toyed with for his entire life by Mrs. Van Groot that she was his mother. When she finally let him in on the joke that it wasn't true, his son, Jason, could not accept it, and in a fit of rage, he ended up killing her. Since that time, his father has been keeping her death under wraps while Jason quietly siphons away her money to provide a lavish lifestyle for himself and living on those Social Security checks. One of those upgrades was a new face, courtesy of the clinic where he first encountered the nurse he murdered. The only problem is the clinic doesn't have any post-surgery pictures of Jason and is not using the name Van Groot or his father's name, so they don't have any way to track him. So Jim, with Leslie's blessing, decides to go on television and personally challenge the ogre by saying that he's going to catch him by hook or by crook, and he encourages the people of Gotham to help aid him in his quest to put this serial killer in jail or in the ground. Wait a minute. Doesn't this remind you of the plot of some Marvel movie we saw not too long ago? Anyway. Meanwhile, the ogre, after a failed attempt to run down Gordon and Bullock earlier in the episode, starts plotting for a way to get back at Jim for going after the lady in his life, but it's not Leslie Tompkins. Somebody else is happy about that, I'm sure.
I think a lot of people are happy with that.
Yes. they so deserve each other. Bruce calls on Selena to help continue his investigation into the information Reggie stole from his house to hand over to Mr. Bunderslaw. Sounds like something you eat. A member of the Wayne Foundation Board of Directors. Bruce also berates Selena over her decision to kill Reggie. She accuses him, basically, of, being a sissy. But he says it's a line no one should cross, and he'll never do that no matter the consequences. Last week was a brief glimpse into the moral code Bruce starts to build as he gets closer and closer to becoming Batman one day. But this was as blunt as possible to get the point across. Since Bruce isn't a killer now, he won't be a killer later in life either. Selena, on the other hand, says she has no problem killing anybody if necessary. She has no problem doing it again. Catwoman's claws are beginning to sharpen. Selena eventually agrees to help Bruce track down the information that Bunderslaw has stolen, so they plot to go to the Wayne Foundation charity event that night, run into him so they can steal keys to a safe he has in the Wayne building, and according to Bruce, all the executives have them, so this is a perfect way to see what he's been up to. After a Pretty Woman dress-fitting session, Selena and Bruce go to the party, distract Bunderslaw, and get an impression of his keys so they can break into the safe. Basically, nothing major happens between the two of them except for the speech about not killing anyone, but it's a good setup for what might happen in the last couple episodes and what will happen in Wayne Enterprises. One of the more tedious storylines of the season has involved Mr. Nigma's constant flirtations and borderline stalking of office worker Miss Kringle and her various boyfriends throughout the series. I keep thinking, is she going to marry Chris? No, wait a minute. She is a Kringle. So that must have been Santa? I don't know. Anyway, latest of which, Officer Dougherty is apparently not only a brutish jerk, but also abuses her. When Edward tries to intervene, the cop brushes him off as the lonely dork that seems to be, but when he doesn't heed the warnings to stay away from Miss Kringle, Gotham's favorite lab tech forensic expert takes action. He waits outside Miss Kringle's apartment, and when Dougherty shows up later that night, he tells him to leave Gotham right now or pay the consequences. Needless to say, Dougherty laughs in his face, and Edward pulls a knife and stabs him to death in the middle of the street multiple times. He is both frightened and exhilarated by the feeling of taking someone else's life. It's taken almost an entire season and a whole lot of bad jokes, but the Riddler is finally starting to come to life, at least in a small way. While we haven't seen Carmine Falcone for what seems like ages, Mr. Cobblepot has continued to build his own criminal empire, and now he's ready to take things to the next level by assassinating Maroni, thus eliminating Gotham's other mafia boss. Is that like Coke and Pepsi? Oswald hires his hitman and starts to put things in motion to have Maroni eliminated when he gets some bad news. Sal's in his club, and he's sitting at the same table as his mother. When Oswald arrives, Sal's being as sweet as pie to Mother Cobblepot. But before he exits, he decides to let the doting mother know what her son has really been up to these past few months. He proclaims that Oswald is a murderer, a liar, a crook, a straight-up gangster, and that's how he's finding success in Gotham. Oswald's mother is crushed, and even after he takes her home while explaining that Maroni was not being truthful, he's more determined than ever to put the mob leader down. Even when a random delivery guy shows up to give Mrs. Cobblepot some flowers from Maroni as an apology, Oswald snaps, kills him with a shard of broken glass, and proclaims that Gotham's other mob boss has to go, like, right now. Gordon spends the majority of this episode worried about what the ogre might do to Leslie Tompkins if he can't catch him in time. But the process, he forgets about the woman he was in a relationship with for months before the good doctor appeared in his life. It seems the ogre is targeting our favorite Barbara King as payback for Gordon's investigation, and he's determined to make her the next victim. The ogre almost kills her on the first date, but decides against it after a second impulse. It's never good to kill on the first date, guys. Instead, he he meets Barbara at the Wayne Foundation charity function, where he flirts and says all the right things, including some sympathy when Barbara tells him that no man could love her, especially not after they finally see what she's really like on the inside. Funny enough, this is the same thing the ogre has been saying to women for years. Has he finally met his match? The ogre seduces Barbara and takes her back to his condo. When she gets inquisitive about a particular room that belongs in another movie that was recently shown on theater, he tells his new house guest to please take a look. When she gets inside and turns on the light, she sees something that looks like Larry Flint's playroom combined with a medieval torture chamber. And strikingly, Barbara isn't frightened. Instead, she smiles and looks absolutely delighted to be surrounded by axes and weird things. Maybe these two are meant to be together. Hey, at least it gives Barbara something to do that's at least mildly interesting. At the same time this is happening, Jim has got his man, but it's just Jim has got his man. It's just a matter of finding him, but he realizes while in the middle of this investigation something the ogre said to him when he called the station earlier to give him a rather ominous threat. He called Jim a rising star in the GCPD. Gordon remembers that was a headline from a newspaper story about him from a few months ago, and the person who was next to him in the picture was Barbara. Jim now knows that the ogre was never going after Leslie, but instead has eyes on his ex, and he has no clue where this psychopath is hiding. And that's the synopsis.
Good job. Oh, that would have been so funny if the ogre was just like, I understand you. I don't like to wear pants either.
Exactly. It's like they were made for each other. I don't leave the apartment either.
And then at the Wayne benefit, I love when they're dancing, and Selena's like, everyone's staring at us. And he's like, well, I am Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, well. Yeah, I was laughing because I'm like, wait a minute. There are so many movies in this. This is like a whole bunch of movies thrown into a blender and then, thrown into TV.
Although my favorite line of the night was when Gordon Bullock went to the clinic the first time, and they're like, "Oh, you're gonna make us get a warrant?" And the doctor's like, "Yeah." And they're leaving, and Bullock's like, "Oh," he's like, "I deal with fake boobs, but I have morals. I can't give stuff up without a warrant."
Yeah, Bullock always gets lines, doesn't he?
Yeah, they give him the best lines.
He is something else.
Oh, yeah. But we only got 2 episodes left.
Yeah, that's really crazy if you think about it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot that they should kind of bring to a head. Mm-hmm. And I have a feeling that we're going to see some stuff out of Mr. Nigma and Oswald that'll be really fun by the end of the season.
Oh, yeah, and wasn't there a preview of Gordon had a gun in Oswald's face?
I couldn't see the preview, so I didn't get to see that. For some reason, my DVR cut it off this week.
Oh, yeah. I think they just showed a real quick glimpse, but it looks like Gordon's telling Oswald, like, real angry stuff's coming down.
Cool. Oswald could use a good scare.
Mm-hmm. And I think Nigma's supposed to be a big part of season 2. Like, he's supposed to be featured more.
That's good. Yeah, because he's going to be interesting because he's going to have to either hide it and try to go back to work or be on the run. Mm. So either one of those could be really interesting. Mm-hmm. Question is, how smart is he really? And you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And which way are they going to go with it? Because either one could be fun. Yeah.
You know who we didn't see this episode?
Who's that?
Fish.
Yeah, we didn't. Yay!
What, she has to hold her intestines in for another week?
Yeah, I guess. Somebody give that girl a Band-Aid.
You would think if she wasn't coming back next season, they'd stuff her in every episode till the season,
Yeah.
Season.
Well, I think it works better when they just do 2 storylines, and that's all they did this week. And I think that
Really?
worked better. Well, I mean, really, the major ones.
Yeah. Because you kind of had the ogre and Barbara, and I guess you can count Gordon in with that.
Well,
Enigma.
it's kind of in with that together, because
Yeah.
it just,
But
you know what I'm saying? The two major things were...
What?
I would say the ogre and everything that went along with that.
Yeah.
And then, well, Nigma, I would say, is kind of a secondary storyline. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
you had the Bruce and Selena stuff.
Right.
The Oswald stuff was secondary to everything else, I think.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I would agree. It was nice because you didn't have so much going on. A lot of times they try to pack way too much stuff.
Yeah. It just seemed different because the ogre's been around already 2 weeks, and I guess he'll be in this next episode coming up too.
Uh-huh.
And so many episodes we had this season, we've had like one and done villains.
Right.
Like the Mask and Tommy Elliott and the Balloon Man.
Up Man.
The quote-unquote Joker.
Yeah. Yeah, it was nice to see a little bit of an arc with the whole ogre thing. Whether they'll wrap that up this season or whether they'll let it go until next, I think it could be interesting if he gets away.
Who, the ogre? Yeah.
Yeah. Let him take Barbara and go away for a while. How fun could that... No, I mean, serious. How fun could that be?
She'll come back even crazier.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Let her be pretty crazy.
That's true.
Maybe have to put her in Arkham. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That could be really interesting.
Do you think her character would get more interesting if they brought her back as like a serial killer type, or if they were like a team?
Yeah, or even an accessory to a serial killer. You know what I'm saying? Maybe she's not doing the actual killing, but she's helping do the plotting. Or she's helping, she's... Even if she's being controlled by him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That could be really interesting. And then Jim is going to have this whole, oh man, I feel guilty thing. Yeah. Because I didn't make her get help, even though he couldn't, Kind of doing an Oliver Queen thing. Man guilt. The man
Don't go there
guilt
this
thing.
season.
Yeah. The man guilt thing. But, I mean, it could make Barbara's character a lot more interesting and actually have a point to it. You know what I'm saying? Where she's just felt so aimless. She needs a point.
Yeah.
Instead of, I don't wear pants and I sit on the couch. Or I try to corrupt young children. Well, it's true.
But you said Barbara. That just reminded me. Where have Montoya and Alan been?
Who knows?
We haven't even seen them since this 6-week break.
Yeah, I know. They just disappeared.
So it's probably been at least 2 months, probably longer, since we've seen them.
Yeah, maybe they've been on a really long stakeout. A really long one.
Yeah, on Falcone, wherever he's at.
Exactly.
Oh, you know what is another good scene?
What?
When Bruce tells Alfred he's going to the benefit or whatever with Silly and a cow.
Oh, yeah.
Alfred gets a big grin on his face. He's like, oh, really, Master Bruce?
Sure.
Has puberty finally cheered you up, Master Bruce?
Yes. I gotta wonder what's gonna happen when Alfred finds out. Because he's gonna find out.
About Reggie?
Yeah. And what really happened to him.
I don't want to find the killer, but do you think he'll find out who it is?
Oh, yeah. I do. Whether he'll find out that Bruce was in on it, I don't know.
Yeah. That
could get really interesting.
You think Bruce will confess to him?
I gotta wonder if Bruce's conscience won't get to him.
Maybe.
It's hard to tell at this point, but because, Alfred he's his parent, basically.
Oh, yeah.
And that's kind of a big secret to keep.
Oh, yeah.
I bet you he has nightmares. And I bet you that's how it comes out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That would make sense, too.
Yeah.
Maybe Leslie has to come see him because he's having emotional issues. That could get interesting too.
Yeah, it'd be about time she comes see him.
Yeah, you'd think she would have already, since she's with Jim. But then again, Jim tries to keep his business life and his personal life separate, but tries. Not so successfully, but he tries.
Oh, yeah.
Long day. Long day of cell phone hell. Anyway. But I enjoyed the whole benefit sequence. Mm-hmm. That was a lot of fun. It was nice to see Selena completely out of her element, but yet still operating. It's still being herself, even though she's dressed up. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Not really trying to put on airs at all.
When she looks at the shoes.
Yeah, that was funny. But you know what I'm saying? She's being herself. She's not, acting differently to be around all these hoity-toity people. But she's got her wits about her and stuff, and she's using her street smarts to maneuver around the room, and she does a good job of it, even though she's completely out of her element. Bruce is no big deal to him, because he's grown up going to those kinds of things. But, I mean, can you imagine for her? She's never been anything like that.
She's probably cased in the room now.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. But how cool is that they're kind of working together, to try to find out what's going on here, who's trying to kill him. And, I think the whole escapade into Bunderslaw's office is going to be fun.
Oh, yeah. I love how she made the impression of the key.
Yes. In a compact, sure, makes total sense. It does, though,
Yeah.
And that actually happens in real life, supposedly. Wouldn't take much to do that, though. I mean, it really wouldn't take much to do that. You could do it with some silly putty.
Yeah.
And make an impression of the key, make a silicone mold, and bingo bango. Melt down some metal, and there you go. It's scary easy.
Oh my god, I can't believe how insane is the ogre's father.
Oh yeah. Hello.
He left the dead body in the bed for 10 years.
Oh, well, that actually happens though.
Yeah.
There have been cases of that, but yeah, it's terrifying.
Yeah, but why can't he couldn't just bury her in the backyard and say, "Oh, she's in Europe."
Could have, but then again, I was going to say, if it were in this day and age, you'd be able to see that via satellite. Even Google Earth, you'd see it. You know what I'm saying? Where back then, maybe you could have gotten away with it.
Yeah, she died 10 years ago. And then plus, who knows when the show happens.
Yeah. Flip phones and 40s cars. Go figure.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, it's a matter of But I can't imagine that. I mean, just I guess having been around that kind of stench before, I can't imagine. I mean, well, in Oklahoma City, probably a week after the bombing, they were asking for people to bring in Vicks so they could put it under their respirators so they didn't have to smell the smell.
And that was a week.
That was a week.
Imagine years.
Well, I mean, depending on the insect... After a certain time, the skin dries out and becomes desiccated.
That's true.
And there's not nearly as much of a smell, but still, the bacteria. Oh, yeah. I mean, the bacteria and everything else. Well, and it wouldn't just stay. I mean, okay, it wouldn't stay like that anyway. The bed would be just. I don't know if you ever watched the Mythbusters where they put the pig in the car.
No.
Oh my goodness. They put a pig or two pigs in a sports car, sealed up the sports car, put it in a metal box, like a shipping container, for, I can't remember if it was a month, how long it was, okay? when they opened the car, they had to wear respirators, and of course, and everything when they opened the car back up. But I mean, they're liquefied,
Ugh.
except for the bones. So the bed wouldn't have been that pretty. You know what I'm saying? There would have been some serious damage to the bed, the floor, all that stuff. That wouldn't be like that, if that makes sense. Unless they had moved her. If she had died, they had put her in something else, somewhere else, and then let her, you know.
Yeah, he changed the sheets or something.
Well, it wouldn't just be that. I mean,
the mattress, yeah.
Everything, you know what I'm saying? Or unless they took her somewhere else or put her in something else. But her clothes and stuff wouldn't have been like that. I mean, that almost looked like she had been heated to get the desiccation like that and to keep her clothes and have everything be that nicey, like jerky. That's what, I mean, I'm not trying to be gross, but I watch enough of these shows. That's what it takes to get that.
I hope none of you like to eat jerky.
A food dehydrator is just heat and air blowing around. That's all it is.
Oh, he used one of those Ronco dehydrators.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. But that's what it looked like.
Yeah. Maybe that's what they built it off.
Because, you know, when the Egyptians and stuff they mummified, they removed bodily fluids and organs and things so that they could do that. She didn't have any of that done, so how in the world, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Anyway. Enough of these questions, I'm sure.
But my son is a good boy.
Yes. Oh, I'm sure he is. Mm-hmm. Not creepy at all. Oh my goodness. He totally creeps me out. Have you ever met somebody that's like that, though?
What, keeping dead bodies in the bed?
No, that just has that. They can charm the wings off a butterfly.
Yeah.
And you know that they're fake.
Yes.
It drives me insane. I met somebody like that not long ago, and it's like he could sell a used car to an Amishman. You know? It's just, yeah, you just scratch your head, and I just can't understand people like that. But I can't understand how somebody can have that mentality to be so deceitful, I guess.
They just think they're going to get stuff from everyone.
Yeah.
If they tell people what they want to hear.
That's true. He's a psychopath. more of a sociopath, wouldn't he be?
Maybe, yeah. If you, like, is it the sociopath who doesn't, what do I want to say, doesn't understand the feelings of others?
Basically, yeah. I mean, I think he understands them, but I don't think he understands the repercussion of them, because he uses them. He uses those feelings and emotions against them. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't understand. It's almost like he doesn't get that it's real. That's actually their lives. He doesn't care.
Are we talking about the ogre?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he just sets... I wrote a blog about him today. He sets impossibly high standards, and then when none of these women can meet them, he kills them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he wants what he wants.
Oh, yeah.
And if you can't do that, then what good are you? I mean, like a Stepford wife, you know? Mm-hmm. That's what I thought of.
Barbara's Stepford wife.
She would never be a Stepford wife. She couldn't be. I mean, it's just not in her DNA.
She could barely be a wife.
Yeah, she could barely function as a person, let alone a woman. You know?
Yeah. Good thing she's rich.
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine if she had to work for a living.
No. Oh my goodness. She wouldn't keep a job more than a couple days because she wouldn't be there on time and they'd fire her. Or she wouldn't come wearing what she was supposed to, or she'd come drunk, or she'd, hungover or drugged up or whatever. She wouldn't be able to do it.
Miss Keene, the work dress uniform includes pants.
Yes, Miss Keene, you must leave the apartment in order to come to work.
Well, she works online or something.
Well, QVC does hire people to work from home.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. All the people that, if you call QVC, most of them are contractors working from home. Do all their customer service. She could do that without pants.
Do it naked.
Pretty much, if she wanted to. Just hope the hackers aren't out there hacking her webcam.
I was going to say, put your duct tape over your webcam.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, didn't she say, anyone gets to know me, they run away screaming?
Yes. Except for this guy.
Oh, a complete sociopath.
Yeah, she may run away screaming. Who knows?
No, they're similar.
That's true. Well, I mean, screaming for her life, not...
I don't know.
Or maybe he'll hack her into little bits. Who knows?
Kibbles and bits.
Yes.
Oh, the fans can only dream. I was hoping to talk to Tyler tonight. I think the Gotham TV show is bleeding into the comic books.
Uh-oh.
When they come back in June, major spoilers here, people. So tune out for a second if you don't want to hear.
Okay.
But I guess when they come back from Convergence in June, they were going to have a new armored Batman. And I guess, was it yesterday, they had online that Bruce Wayne's missing. So guess who's in the Batman armor?
No idea.
Jim Gordon.
Oh, that could be really fun. That could be really, really fun, actually.
So, yeah, I'm just wondering, is that because of Gotham and... Since he's like the main character on the show.
That could be. Well, and Jim's just always been a fun guy.
Mushroom.
An interesting character. Yes, I'm a mushroom. That's definitely yes. I'm allergic to fungi.
Are you?
Yes, I am. Very highly allergic to molds. Although I love mushrooms.
I was going to say, there's nothing better than a mushroom pizza.
That's right. Yeah. I had several last night on my salad.
Did you?
Lots of mushrooms. Yep.
So I guess it's not like a too bad of an allergy?
I can have mushrooms, but it's the black and green molds that I'm allergic to. So no growing experiments in the refrigerator. No. Actually, that is how I found out. When I was a kid, I did an experiment about mold, and I cultured molds, and I got really, really sick. So, yeah. It's not as bad as my bee allergy. I will go into anaphylaxis from getting a bee sting. I do carry EPIs. So, but, yeah. Yeah, the mold is not my friend. My daughter had to have sushi last night, so we went to the buffet so she could have her sushi.
Never really gotten into the sushi.
She loves the stuff. She tries to get me to eat it, and I'm like, ugh. I'll eat a California roll. I like cucumber, but that's it. None of the fishy stuff for me. No, thank you.
So, anything else on this episode?
So what do we think is going to happen? I mean, how do you think Jim's going to react to this whole Barbara thing?
I don't know. What do you think? Maybe that somehow he'll either capture or kill the ogre and somehow not know what Barbara was up to?
That could be, or like I said, maybe the ogre gets away and maybe kidnaps Barbara, or he thinks.
Or she goes willingly.
Right. But he would think she was kidnapped.
Maybe they could do that.
And either way, Gordon would end up feeling guilty.
Yeah.
And I just think it could be really interesting because he's going to have to deal with, they kind of ended things really kind of abruptly, and he really hasn't processed all that. I mean, really, he was just like, okay, whatever, and moved,
Yeah.
And so I think he's going to have to deal with, okay, is this my fault or isn't it? Is she my responsibility, really? And how he kind of feels about that, because it's going to end up becoming an issue between him and Leslie, I have a feeling.
Yeah.
If he doesn't deal with it quickly.
Maybe that's the season finale. Maybe Leslie leaves him and says, you have to deal with this before we can go any further.
Maybe. I don't know. I just think, I kind of wonder where they're going to go. They've only got 2 episodes left.
Yeah. Yeah, what is it, May 4th?
I think so.
Whatever that Monday is.
Yeah, I think so. So.
Yeah, May 4th.
So they're not going to have tons of time to mess around with it. What you gonna do?
Yeah.
They'll probably just totally mess with our heads and do something crazy and big and unexpected.
I don't know how they're gonna fit it all in.
That's true.
Oswald, Nigma,
his mom,
Bruce and Selena, yeah, and then with Fish
and Maroney.
Because if Fish isn't coming back, they have to tie that up.
They got to make her fish food.
Oh.
And you got Maroney because he's threatening, Oswald's mom.
Get killed.
And what's Mama gonna do? Well, you think, Mama's kind of off a rocker, but you think Mama's got a good heart underneath all that crazy. Yeah. So what's she gonna do now that she knows? Does she believe, or does she try to find evidence and find out?
Or does she go nuts and kill Maroney?
Yeah, or does Oswald go berserk because she finds out and kill her? And that would totally make him lose it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's so many ways you could go.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to get it all done.
I think I'm glad I'm not in the writer's room. I think there's too many... Well, they're going to leave it as cliffhangers, I'm sure, but there's so many loose ends right now. Pull one of them and wow.
I was going to say, you don't want to be in the writer's room? I'm like, this is Gotham, not Arrow.
That's true. That's very true. But I'm just saying, there's so many storylines. How do you decide?
Yeah.
It would be really difficult.
Well, if nothing else, they have to get the Fish one done since she's not coming back.
Right. And that won't be too hard to do. Because she was already looking pretty awful when we left her last time, and she's been floating there with her guts hanging out for a while, so shouldn't take long to kill her off. Although it would be fun to see Dollmaker mess with her.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That would totally be fun. Because, he wouldn't need all of her.
He'd have to come get her, though.
Yeah. He wouldn't need all of her. Just the parts he wanted. Parts is parts. Feeling very Wendy's right now.
What?
Did you remember that commercial? Parts is parts. Talking about chicken nuggets. McDonald's.
No.
McDonald's just, presses a bunch of chicken parts together to make their nuggets. Parts is parts.
Oh, man. Ladies and gentlemen, one half of the punny business team.
I guess that means I'm only half punny.
Oh. Wait till the round table.
Oh, you're not kidding. That'll be insane. Herding cats, folks. Try to keep that many people on topic on a discussion. That's not easy.
Oh, especially all of us people.
Yes. So, when does the next episode of Gotham air? The next new one?
I believe Monday.
I believe it is Monday.
That's what I said. I think.
Yep.
Here, let me pull up
the
calendar. Yeah, it'll be Monday the 27th, and then Monday, May 4th.
Wow.
That's it for the season.
That's something. And of course, I have to work again this week. Which stinks. Sorry, guys. Got a new job, and so now I have to work some nights. So the last 2 Mondays I've had to work. So.
Don't you understand? Gotham's on.
No, they don't. Although sometimes I do get let out early, so maybe I'll get lucky. Just depends on who's there.
You heard it here, folks. Kelly might get lucky.
Maybe. That is so funny.
All right. So, any other thoughts on this episode?
Nope. I just don't know how they're going to do it to get to the end of the season. 2 episodes.
Neither do I.
They're going to have to go a marathon in 2 hours.
But if you have a theory, please email us at beforethebat@gmail.com. Twitter, we're at beforethebatpod. On Facebook, we're Before the Bat, the Gotham Podcast. And if you go on our Facebook page, you will also see the roles for our summer contest.
Woohoo!
The fan fiction contest. I actually had someone get a hold of me today.
Fantastic.
I haven't seen anything yet, but this young lady was like, was it better to have a script or...
Oh, fantastic.
Some other... Yeah?
Yeah, dramatized fan fiction, guys, is awesome. It's so much fun. So, send us your stories, because we want to make them come alive for you.
Oh, yeah. We should have a decent prize, too.
Awesome.
Sometime this summer.
Woohoo! Prizes are good.
And where can the lovely people see you, Kelly?
Well, you can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, and everywhere that really matters at Super Squint. That's SUPERSQUINT. And you can read me on voiceoftv.com. And you can also listen to the 2 other podcasts I co-host, Queen Consolidated and Flashpoint with the lovely Miss Lilith.
Oh, I was going to say, the lovely Miss Lilith.
Yes, the lovely Miss Lilith.
I listened to, like, the last 2 episodes of both of those yesterday. My head was swimming with puns.
Oh, yes. We are very punny.
People probably thought I was crazy at work, so I'm just, like, laughing.
Lilith and I, we have some fun.
You have switched roles somewhat?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes
we do that. Sometimes it's really funny because one episode I'll love and she'll hate, and the next one she'll hate and I'll love, and you never know.
I forget what you said, but Lilith was like, Kelly! She's like, I expect that from myself, not you.
Yeah, it was because I gave the episode a worse rating than she did. She couldn't believe that I was being harder on it than she was, so. And that happens every so often. Sometimes we're pleasantly surprised, though.
All right, everyone. Meet back here next week.
Same bat time, same bat channel?
Same bat time, same bat channel. The Gotham Podcast. We're only 2 away. So come back, y'all.